guys, so I'm back with a new video and let's talk about Motelx again. So here I am for that final video about this year's Motelx. As I've mentioned in some of my previous videos, I try to do something different every single year. So the first year, I think I just talked about every single film that I've watched. Last year, I did a ranking video. And this year, I'm not gonna talk about every single film that I've watched because I've watched 23 films. It's the most that I've seen at the festival. Last year, I watched 18. Two of them, one film I watched twice, which was actually the one that I'm like the shirt that I'm wearing right now, Something in the Dirt. I just thought it was fitting for this video. But yeah, so last year I watched that twice. I still count as two films that I've seen. So I've seen 17 or 18 films, depending if you count my rewatch of Something in the Dirt. But this year I watched 23, and unless I did a ranking video again, talking about every single film would be like a really long video, because obviously I just don't want to mention the film. I want to give you like a summary and my thoughts, and yeah, all of that takes time. Obviously I'm already taking a lot of time with this intro, but yeah, this year I decided to do awards type of thing. So it's my best of Motelx, but with certain categories in mind. So yeah, I'm just gonna start and you see what I'm meaning. So yeah, let's get to it. And we're starting with a bang, because the first category is the best gory film. It's not exactly like the best film with gore. It's more like the one that it's good but also has the most gore in it. And I think the film that I've seen that had the most gore was The Funeral. That film was interesting because we had the worldwide premiere of it, and the director was there. And when I tried to log it on Letterboxd, the movie wasn't available yet. So yeah, it was actually the world premiere, and I was one of the few that watched it for the first time. And the movie isn't one of my favorites. I thought it would be more. I thought I would like it more because it's a Turkish film, and I don't know, I just was expecting more. But I think it was the one that had the most gore in it. Obviously, I don't know if you know, but this is a zombie film, and they get pretty gory with the zombies and what they eat. And yeah, but it's like a heartwarming story. It's cute in a way, but it is pretty gory. There's some certain scenes where really hardcore with the gore. So yeah, it wasn't exactly my favorite or one of my favorites, but I think it's the one that had the most gore in it. Next, the best thriller. Granted, this was probably one of the best films that I've seen at the festival. And I could say other films for best thriller, but I think this was the most thrilling ride. And I'm talking about Infinity Pool. If you've seen it, you know it's like a roller coaster. So for that reason, I think it's the best thriller, because yeah, the movie just changes constantly. So in the beginning you think it's about one thing, then it changes to another thing, then to another thing. So yeah, it was pretty thrilling, and I was really entertained and engaged for the whole film. So yeah, I don't think I need to talk a lot about Infinity Pool. By this point, I think everyone has seen it. And if you haven't, it's quite something, but you should definitely check it out. Then the best crime film. It's an obvious choice, but I had to talk about it because it's an old film, but I've never seen it. And I'm talking about Ichi the Killer. Yeah, it is a 2001 film, but this was the surprise film. If you've seen my day 4 vlog, or yeah, one of my previous vlogs, you know that I went to the surprise film screening, and it was at midnight, and they surprised us with Ichi the Killer, which I had never seen. So it was interesting, but I think you all know what this one is about. This could be like the goriest as well, but some of the gore isn't as gruesome and as believable. So yeah, I decided to go for another one, but it is a crime film, and I had to say it for this category. The best drama is one that as soon as I watched it, I knew this had such a K-drama vibe. This is a Korean film, obviously, and because it has a really big K-drama feel to it, I had to put it in the best drama. And I'm talking about New Normal. This was one of my favorites. I really enjoyed it. It's an anthology, but it's an anthology made by the same director, and it's the same director as Gonjam Haunted Asylum. I haven't seen that one yet, but I've heard a lot about it. People say it's one of the scariest. However, New Normal, I don't think it's anything like Gonjam, because this film is pretty fun at times, and it's just a really interesting each segment ties at the end, and each one of them have a different feel to it. All of them have the K-drama feel, but the first one it's more of a thriller, then the second one is more of a comedy, then there's more of a romance, and yeah, it's pretty distinctive, but they all have a horror element to it, obviously. And I really enjoyed it, so it's a really easy watch. It's a long film. It's a really long film. I think it's more than 2 hours. But it's really easy to watch because, yeah, each segment has about maybe 30 minutes, 45 minutes. So, yeah, it goes by really, really quickly. Then, best sci-fi. Again, Infinity Pool would be a good choice and an obvious choice, but I wanted to talk about another film that I've watched, and it's a new film. It's really new, and not as new as The Funeral, but it's an interesting film. It is a micro-budget film, but it's so good and so entertaining, and definitely the most sci-fi, I think. So I'm talking about Hostile Dimensions, and this one is like a found footage. It's not a mockumentary, but it is trying to do a documentary. Yeah, it's really interesting, and yeah, just go into it without knowing much, but it has a slight comedy tone to it, but it's really fun. It has a few scares, and yeah, really enjoyed that one as well. I really wanted to mention that one to you, obviously because it's a really indie film. So yeah, if you can, please watch Hostile Dimensions. Then documentary, I only watched 3, but I wanted to talk to you about my favorite. So my favorite was Residency, and this was part of the Section X part of the festival. And Section X is about experimental films. And I just really enjoy this film. It's an experience and it's not for everyone. But as the title says, it's about a residency. And I would say maybe like 80% of the film is real. Like the artists that appear in it are all real artists. And it's a trippy film. It then obviously gets to a point where it's fake. But I don't know, I was really, really inspired by this film. And yeah, it just talks about all types of artists and all types of art, like painting and fashion and music. Yeah, so if you are up for something really weird, yeah, watch Residency. And if you are an artist, any type of artist, like I think you'll get something out of it. Now for more like technical aspects of films, best cinematography, by far the best cinematography is in You Won't Be Alone. That movie is so beautiful. And yeah, I'll get more to it. I'll talk more about it in one of the next categories. But yeah, definitely the thing that stands out the most about this film is the cinematography. It's really, really beautiful. So I just knew this You Won't Be Alone would win for this category. Best score, it was a really easy pick as well. Tiger Stripes. I just did a review of it, so if you haven't seen that video, yeah, check it out. But I mentioned in my review, like the score, the soundtrack, it's so good. So yeah, Tiger Stripes was an easy pick. I just loved, as soon as the movie started, I just loved the score. Now, best actor, I might be a bit biased here, but I think the one that surprised me the most and impressed me the most was Carloto Cota, who he's a Portuguese actor, and not only he starred in You Won't Be Alone, but I think like why I'm mentioning him is because of his performance in the Portuguese film Amelia's Children. In Portuguese, it's called A Semente do Mal, but in English is Amelia's Children, and I just loved that film, and his performance was like really stood out to me. It was really good. He actually plays two parts in the film, so more impressive. And yeah, out of all the other films, all the other actors, he was the one that just stuck to me the most. And that, yeah, I really, really remember his performances. Two in this film and another one in You Won't Be Alone. As for Best Actress, was a bit more difficult because there were a lot of good actresses in all these films, mainly like the younger ones, like in Tiger Stripes or in It Lives Inside, which I reviewed as well. But I have to give my props, and my favorite one was, and I'm sorry because I'm gonna butcher her name definitely, was Golshifteh Farahani. I'm really, really sorry, but I think she was amazing in Hood Witch. It's a French film that honestly I just wished there were another category that I could like insert here just to talk about this film, but I guess I can talk about it with her performance because she was so good in the film and her character was so believable. Really, yeah, I just felt like a real person. And the whole film, it is about a witch in a way, but it's a witch in the modern day. And yeah, it's a really important film that has a really important message. And yeah, I really, really enjoyed this film, and her performance was so good in the film. Now, last three categories. Most original story, I'm gonna give it to Perpetrator. I know this is a hit or miss. Not a lot of people liked it, but also a ton of people liked it. So yeah, but I think the concept of the film is really original. I haven't seen something like this like ever, and it's such a simple idea. It's yeah, you talk about this thing a lot, and for some reason they never did something like this. So I'm not gonna say what it is because it was a surprise in the beginning. The film doesn't make any sense, but once they explain it, because in this film they sort of needed to explain what was happening, so I'm fine with that. When they explain it, I was just really shocked that no one has ever done something like this. So yeah, props for the film, at least for that. But I think I also enjoyed other aspects, but the story was really original. Now, best director, I almost didn't like do this category, but I figured I had to talk about this one once again. So I think the best director was Amanda Nell Ew, which directed Tiger Stripes. Again, I don't need to talk a lot about this film. You can check out my review, but it was one of my favorites. And now for my favorite film, I already talked about it, and I said I was going to talk about it again. So yeah, my favorite was You Won't Be Alone. I don't know if it was because it was one of the first ones that I've seen at the festival this year. I watched it. It was like the second film that I've seen in the first day, and the second one overall, obviously. And I just loved it. I thought it was a beautiful film with beautiful performances, a beautiful story. It has a lot of gore as well, but it's so heartwarming at the same time. And I don't know, I just loved it. I think it's such a beautiful film. I'm really sad this technically is a 2022 film because I can't mention it in my favorites of this year. But yeah, I'm here telling you that it was one of my favorites, and it would be in my top 10 list definitely because I loved it. I loved a ton of other films, but this one, yeah, it just really stuck with me. Just as Tiger Stripes, but this one, yeah, I don't know. It's a really, really beautiful piece of art. So, yeah, guys, these were my favorite films that I've watched at Motelx this year. You can check out the whole, like, all the films that I've seen this year in my Letterboxd. So if you want, like, a proper review of any of them, just tell me in the comments. Tell me if you've seen any of the films that I've mentioned. Tell me if you've seen some of them. Tell me which one is your favorite. I'm pretty sure you have all seen like You Won't Be Alone and Infinity Pool and Ichi the Killer. But yeah, if you've seen any of like the new ones that I've mentioned, like The Funeral or Hoodwitch or Tiger Stripes, yeah, tell me in the comments. And yeah, if you like the video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you're not subscribed yet, and I'll see you in my next video.